It is the first step in a year that is sure to feature some competitive races. Results from tonight's primary elections are still coming in. Good evening, I'm Chad Silber.
And I'm Tanya Rivera. Races for mayor, sheriff, U.S. House, and the big one, a U.S. Senate seat. We've got it all for you tonight. The U.S. Senate race called within 17 minutes of polls closing. Republican Ted Budd will face Democrat Cheri Beasley in November.
The race for Greensboro mayor moves on to July now. Current mayor Nancy Vaughn will face City Councilman Justin Outling. The billion-dollar ballot item in Guilford County did pass tonight. The school bond to repair the district's schools got a yes. Our team is all across the state tonight, from Raleigh to Charlotte, Greensboro, and Bermuda Run. We are on top of the biggest races on your ballot.
Results are scrolling on the bottom of your screen. You can also get them on your phone. All you have to do is text the word results to 336-379-5775. We'll send it all right to you.
The highest profile office up for grabs tonight, a seat in the United States Senate. Republican Senator Richard Burr will retire at the end of his term. You will decide who replaces him come November.
And tonight, Republicans and Democrats pick their candidate. These are the results on the Democratic side. Cheri Beasley ran away with this one. She has 81% of the vote. And on the Republican side,
Ted Budd won the nomination with 59% of the vote. In second place, former Governor Pat McCrory with 25%, and third, former Congressman Mark Walker with 9% of the vote.
Now, the AP called this race just moments after the polls closed. I know it was 17 minutes, right? Races that we've been watching for weeks finished before 8 o'clock this morning, before 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, 2 on To's Ben Briscoe has a closer look at how we got here and how the triad voted. Ben.
Part of the reason they were able to call it so fast is because there was just such a big gap in votes. Check it out right now. Cheri Beasley has more than 460,000 votes ahead of her second place challenger. On the Republican side, you can see all of the triad going for Ted Budd. I mean, we knew that he would do well in Davie County, his home county where he lives on a farm with his wife, Amy, taking 70% of the vote there. But even in Mark Walker's stronghold, Guilford County, Ted Budd took 46% of the vote. And when you zoom out across the entire state here, look, there's only one county in the state where Ted Budd did not win the county. That's Mecklenburg County. Pat McCrory used to be the mayor in Charlotte. That would be why he had such a stronghold there. Even there, look at how Ted Budd performed, only 77 votes behind Pat McCrory.
Ben, thank you. Again, just more than a dozen minutes to wrap up this race tonight. Congressman Budd is holding his victory party in Bermuda Run in Davidson County.
WFMY News 2's Grace Holland joins us live there now. And Grace, how is he feeling about tonight and the months ahead?
Ted Budd is heading into the general election, as you guys have said, with nearly 60% of the vote from today's Republican primary. And during his speech tonight, he focused a lot on economic issues like inflation. He also spoke about how he wants to be able to put a stop on President Joe Biden's agenda if elected to the Senate. He actually combined those two ideas, saying that he wants to put a stop to Bidenflation. Now, supporters gathered here to cheer him on in Bermuda Run in Davie County, where he lives. Budd thanked his family, supporters, and his fellow Republican frontrunners. Budd believes his 100-county tour, speaking directly to voters across the state, made the difference in the campaign. He says he doesn't plan to change his strategy heading into the general election, facing Democratic candidate Cheri Beasley.
So I'm still the same person. I was Ted Budd then, I'm Ted Budd now, and the America First agenda wins for everybody. I don't think you have to change a lot, so I'm still going to be the same person then as I am now.
And Budd took a shot at his new opponent in November. He called Beasley the most radical liberal candidate to run in North Carolina.
All right, so Budd, of course, will be facing Democrat Cheri Beasley on the November ballot. She celebrated the win in Raleigh tonight.
Yeah, WFMY News 2's Kevin Kennedy is there now. Kevin, this was a landslide win for her.
Yeah, absolutely. A very big landslide and certainly a very excited Sherry Beasley tonight. We are outside what was the Democratic Watch Party. We're outside because the party wrapped up about an hour ago, because that's what we've been talking about. The big news came down about 8 o'clock. That's when Sherry Beasley was declared the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate. Beasley now one step closer to making history as the first black U.S. Senator from here in North Carolina. Now, when accepting her party's nomination earlier tonight, she thanked her family, her team, and voters. Beasley told the crowd on hand that she plans to focus on affordable health care, creating well-paying jobs, and funding our schools, telling the crowd on hand, now is the time.
North Carolina, this is our moment. In this moment, we have the power to bring change to this state. In this moment, we have the power to restore our values to our government in Washington. In this moment, we have the power to protect our rights.
While Beasley went in tonight as an overwhelming favorite, she will go into November as a bit of an underdog in the general election. We're live in Raleigh. I'm Kevin Kennedy, WFMY News 2.
Well, things did not go Pat McCrory's way tonight. The former governor managed just 24% of the vote, a few 100,000 votes behind Congressman Budd, just over 100,000 ahead of Mark Walker.
McCrory hoped to get a win while at his event in Charlotte tonight, but he will walk away empty-handed. WFMY News 2's Avery Powell was there when McCrory addressed the crowd following his defeat.
A disappointing loss tonight for former Governor Pat McCrory. The race called before he even arrived here at Selwyn Pub in Charlotte to meet his supporters. McCrory was raised in Guilford County, but Charlotte is special to him. He was the city's longest serving mayor, and now he says this is it for his time in public service.
Life is a full circle. I started 3 blocks from here in public service running for the city council, and I end here in public service with my friends and colleagues that will be my friends and colleagues forever. I love you.
McCrory did go on to congratulate Congressman Budd and Sherry Beasley, who won the Democratic nomination. As for what's next, he says he hopes he still has a voice in Charlotte, the state, and in the nation.
The number 3 vote getter in that Republican primary for U.S. Senate, Mark Walker. He's a familiar name for folks in the Piedmont Triad. Of course, he was the congressman for District 6 up until last year.
Yeah, Walker got the second most votes in the GOP primary behind Congressman Budd. WFMY News 2's Jenna Kurzina was at Walker's Greensboro watch party tonight.
Mark Walker ended his night here in Summerfield with his supporters. The race was called shortly after the polls closed. Walker says him and his team left nothing on the table after learning that front-runner Ted Budd won the Republican nominee for the open Senate seat. Walker's wife, along with his parents and other supporters, shared how proud they were of Walker's campaign. As for Walker, he says he called Budd to congratulate him and says he will support him moving forward. He also says he will have a tough race against the Democratic nominee, Sherry Beasley. Walker says although he's disappointed, he has no regrets.
We're grateful for the people throughout North Carolina that said no matter the odds, we trust Mark Walker to do the right thing, and we're grateful for it. That's my first impulse. As I process this a little bit more, you'll probably go through different emotions, frustrated at some point, but I'm just grateful to have the opportunity even to pursue such an opportunity.
As for Walker, he says he has no plan B at this time. Reporting in Summerfield, Jenna Kurzina, WFMY News 2.
All right, now let's look at races closer to home. So the race for Greensboro's mayor, tonight's election was a primary. The top 2 advanced to the general election in July.
And you will likely recognize the names at the top of this list. Current Mayor Nancy Vaughn with 45% of the vote tonight. City Council member Justin Outling with 35%. Now the two will face off again in just over 2 months.
Let's go live now to Greensboro. WFMY News 2's Lauren Coleman is following the mayor's race.
Good evening. I'm live at the old Guilford County Courthouse in downtown Greensboro, where I spent the last couple of hours watching as the voting numbers came in. I did check in with Mayor Vaughn earlier this week. She says she has what it takes to continue moving this city forward.
But if you like the things you've seen lately, if you like the big job announcements, if you like things like Tanger Center, if you like enhanced Parks and Recreation, if you like somebody who is fully engaged with the police and the community when it comes to public safety, then naturally you're going to want to support my campaign.
Mayor Vaughn and Councilman Outling will move on to the general election in July, where voters will decide who will be the next mayor of the city of Greensboro. We'll be keeping our eye on that race. Reporting live in downtown Greensboro, Lauren Coleman, WFMY News 2.
So Vaughn's opponent will be current city council member Justin Outling. He came in just a few points behind Mayor Vaughn in tonight's primary race.
WFMY News 2 Stacey Spivey was at Outling's watch party tonight. Stacey, a big night for him too.
Yeah, everyone was really excited out here tonight. I'm actually at the Double Oaks Bed and Breakfast in Greensboro, where things have really wrapped up, but a lot of supporters out here for Outling tonight. He had family, including his 2 children and his wife, as well as friends, supporters, and all the volunteers. He says he really thinks that people connected to his message during this campaign, that message of tackling crime and also attracting and retaining quality jobs in our city. And he thinks that this campaign has been terrific, and he really owes it, he says, to those volunteers.
It was so great to be out here tonight with lots of friends, family, supporters, volunteers who are really the engine of this campaign. They've done a tremendous amount of work, and so it's gratifying to look like we're going to make it on to the general election, and the majority of our community recognize there needs to be change, and we're excited to present that alternative to them.
Next up, he says he wants to go door to door to share his message. Reporting live in Greensboro, I'm Stacey Spivey for WFMY News 2.
Stacey, thank you. It is the ballot item that we have been hearing about for months, the $1.7 billion Guilford County Schools bond referendum.
Yeah, and this is a two-parter kind of thing, you know, the bond itself and then how to pay for it. Let's start with the bond itself. 61% of voters went with a yes, we do want the bond. That means Guilford County Schools will secure the funds. So how will they pay for it? Well, the quarter-cent sales tax increase was a separate ballot item. And so you're looking at 45% for, 55% against it. So this item is looking like it will fail at this point in time. Property taxes may foot the bill instead.
The bond will pay for repairs and upgrades at schools across the district. County leaders have toured schools in disrepair for months. You'll remember a 2019 report showed the district needed $2 billion to make the necessary fixes. Well, the district took the first step in 2020, passing a $300 million bond. Tonight, $1.7 billion passed as well.
Well, the other countywide race of interest tonight, Guilford County Sheriff. So let's take a look. The Republican race is pretty close. Right now, Phil Byrd is leading with 40% of the vote. And right now, William Billy McQueen has got 33% of the vote. Now, on the Democratic side, we've got current Sheriff Danny Rogers. He has 58% of the vote.
All right, let's take you live to Sheriff Rogers' watch party tonight. WFMY News 2's Sydney Moore is there.
Well, Rogers was sworn into office in 2019, and he is hoping to keep his seat, and it looks like he will be moving to the general election in November. Now, I had the chance to speak with him here at Cooper's Ale House. I spoke with him about some of his policies that are centered around developing equitable employment practices, rebuilding law enforcement and citizen relationships, and maintaining officers in court services and detention centers. And you can see them right behind me, still here talking and celebrating here and live here in Guilford County. I'm Sydney Moore, WFMY News 2.
Sydney, thank you. Now to the Republican side in the sheriff's race. Several candidates with law enforcement experience are on the ballot.
Right now, the leader is a former captain with the Guilford County Sheriff's Office. That would be Phil Byrd. WFMY News 2's Amber Lake joins us live at a GOP watch party in Guilford County. Amber?
I'm actually in downtown Greensboro right now, and the Guilford County GOP race is still undecided for now, but there have been two top contenders that have strayed away from the rest of the pack. Now here's a look at all 6 of those candidates hoping for that spot, hoping to secure the Republican nominee for sheriff. Bottom left of your screen is Phil Byrd. He's been the leader in this Republican race. Byrd says his first order of business, if elected, will be to greet all staff with assurance of professional leadership and review the current budget standing. He told me he's comfortable with this lead and said starting gaining support last year, which he said has helped.
I got a lot of supporters on board early, and so they stuck with me through the whole campaign so far, and I hope that it all turns out well.
I also reached out to Billy Queen. He stayed closely behind Phil Byrd in this race, and he currently holds second place. He said he wants his supporters to know something. He appreciates your vote.
Amber, thank you. Let's move now to our seats in the U.S. House. District 6 covers Guilford County and Winston-Salem, as well as Rockingham and Caswell counties.
Yeah, just a Republican primary tonight to come. Democratic incumbent Kathy Manning went unopposed tonight. So let's take the results so far. Right now, Christian Castelli has 36% of the vote. Lee Haywood has 34% of the vote.
A close one there. 2 on Todo's Ben Briscoe has been tracking this race all night. Ben, what can you tell us about District 6?
So 2 years ago, Kathy Manning easily took this district against Lee Haywood because of the way it was drawn. People thought we were going to see a rematch. Most people expected that. But because the district has changed its boundaries, Lee Haywood's stronghold in Forsyth County doesn't come as much in play. And some people think that's why we're seeing Christian Castelli, a Green Beret and small business owner, doing so well tonight. This race not totally reported yet. We'll see if it changes from here.
That map change really makes a difference there. Okay, Republican candidates in the District 6 races are spread out across the Piedmont Triad. The front runner right now, again, as you saw, Christian Castelli, lives in Rockingham County.
Yeah, he says his military career is part of what led him to run for office for the first time.
Career military officer. I bring a lot to the table, a lot of leadership experience, and I think we could use some leadership right now. And so really the catalyst for me to run was watching the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, and that's when I decided to jump in the race, that I could do something about it.
If Castelli prevails, he will go up against incumbent Kathy Manning. She was first elected in 2020. Heading into the November general election, she told us she plans to get out into the newly added counties in the district.
We are going to continue to get out all across the new district, to meet with people, to knock on doors, to listen to what their needs are so that I get to know them and they get to know me. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know all those new voters.
Well, there are a few other U.S. House seats that cover our area. All have at least one primary race, and so we're going to start here with District 4. All of Alamance County is in this district. The winner in November will replace longtime Congressman David Price. The AP is projecting Valerie Fauci as the Democratic primary winner. She has 46% of the vote. On the Republican side, Courtney Geels seems to have run away with this one, 65% of the vote.
Now on to District 5. This covers Forsyth County and much of the foothills. Virginia Fox out there won with 77% of the vote tonight. Fox will face Democrat Kyle Parrish in November. Next up, Randolph County is part of District 9. Just a Republican primary in this one. Richard Hudson won by a commanding lead, 79% of the vote. He will face Democrat Ben Clark in November.
All right, so Ben, let's take a look because you've got an eye on all these other U.S. House races too. What are you seeing with the numbers?
One thing we're really seeing is the impact of redistricting. Take District 9, for example. Richard Hudson is the leading in District 9 right now, but you can see he's the current incumbent from District 8. He actually lives out here in Concord, but his district was redrawn in the new election cycle to also include Charlotte, which would lean more towards a Democrat, meaning he's not as likely to win that district. So instead, he's running over here in District 9. Take a look at the map. It goes up into Randolph County here, all the way down to Fort Bragg. He still lives in Concord, by the way, but chose to run in this Republican-leaning district instead. In North Carolina, that is totally acceptable. The only rule is that you have to live somewhere in the state, not necessarily in that district.
All All right, so let's take a look at some other local races around the Piedmont Triad tonight, starting with a couple of the sheriff's races. First, in Randolph County, Republican incumbent Greg Siebold wins with 51% of the vote. He's going to face Democrat Sean Walker in November. In Davidson County, this entire race all but decided. There is only a Republican primary, and the incumbent Richie Simmons wins with 79%.
And here is a race that actually is a final result. Lexington will have a new mayor. Jason Hayes wins with 40% of the vote.
Full primary results are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can find a full list on our website as well, WFMYnews2.com.
Just 2 candidates remain in the race for Greensboro mayor. We will hear from both of them live in the studio next.
The stage is set for the Greensboro mayoral race on July the 26th. Incumbent Mayor Nancy Vaughn and City Councilman Justin Outling. They were the top 2 vote getters in tonight's primary, and Mayor Vaughn a few points ahead of Outling at this moment. So both candidates are joining us live in the studio. Let's start with Mayor Vaughn. Obviously, both you and your opponent both love the city of Greensboro and serve it. So why should people stay with you?
Well, certainly over the last couple of years, we've had unprecedented challenges, and we've come through them. And not only have we come through, but we have thrived. I'm excited about the job announcements that we have, that the fact that they're going to employ people from the city of Greensboro, the role that I've had in them, and how I'm going to make sure that people from Greensboro actually fill those jobs. We are tackling affordable housing and public safety. So I have a track record of success, and I think the results bear that out.
All right, let's send it over to Chad, who is with City Councilman Justin Outling.
Councilman, yes, so we just heard Mayor Vaughn say about all the great things that have happened in Greensboro over the last couple of years. Why do you think that there should be change?
Greensboro is a community with tremendous assets, but the simple reality is we're not living up to our potential. Our per capita income was once close to that of Raleigh and Charlotte. Now Greensboro, by any statistic, ranks among our state's most dangerous communities. It takes focused leadership to really close those gaps, and we need that change in the mayor's office to make it a reality.
What do you think is the number one issue that you would like to tackle first if you are elected?
The number one issue is violent crime in our community. We've had year after year of record-shattering number of homicides, including in 2019 and 2020. But notwithstanding that reality, those lost lives, that lost potential, in 2020, for example, we only had 2 city council work sessions on violent crime. One at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year. It takes more focused mayoral leadership bringing the council together and our community together to tackle these really systemic issues.
And so what do you do from now until Election Day? I mean, we are just about 2 months out to make sure that you're able to gain those 10-point differences that you have.
Yeah. Really excited. We always knew this was going to be a 2-step process, and our goal as a team was to move on to the general election. And we'll get an opportunity to make our case for change in Greensboro. What's clear is that there's been a big drop-off in the incumbent mayor's primary performance this year versus 2017, and a majority of those who voted said that they want change. We're excited about making our case for a better Greensboro.
All right, let's go back to Tanya real quick.
You've just heard what your opponent just said, so what is your response to that?
Well, I'm very pleased with the primary results. Certainly, Mr. Outling's been running for well over a year. He's extremely well financed, but when you look at the map of the precincts that were won, I have a very broad base of support throughout the entire city. So I think my message resonates. I know that people know that they can trust me, that my focus is on the city of Greensboro and making sure that people's lives are better every day. That is one benefit that I have. Being mayor is my job, it is my focus, and I am able to represent people on every single issue that comes before them.
All right, and of course, you're going to be voting on this July the 26th. We're going to go to break and we'll be right back. Remember, you can get all the results just by simply texting the word results to 336-379-5775.
And it is all on our website. You've got to see our comprehensive election coverage portion on our website. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
See ya.